Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where I break down all the goals scored in the Premier League. And today, are we doing the countdown to Postecoglou getting fired? Maybe. Newcastle 2, Nottingham Forest 0, and to me, it was one of the dullest games I've seen in a very long time. It just seemed like every time one team had the ball, the other team didn't even hardly make a challenge. The other one would fall over, and the ref would give a free kick, or maybe not, depending on which way the wind was blowing. I think the referee had no idea. Because in the first half, what he was giving people yellow cards for, he was calling fouls for in the second half. But we're going to get to some of that because there's so many things that's going on in this game. But also, though, there's some other things you've got to think about. Ange was playing almost with a back five. He was doing this 3-4-3 formation. He wasn't playing with a high line, or this suicide football. So when people saying, can Ange adapt? Yeah, well, he is. Doesn't mean it's working. Doesn't mean he's got any idea what he's doing. And I've also got another sort of inkling, and I want to get it out there on the record, that I don't know if he's picking his team. I wonder if Marinakis is picking his team. And I do that from the reaction I saw in midweek when I watched I can't remember who they played, in the Europa League. And you saw sort of the way Marinakis was reacting, and it was very much a case of like he's put these players out, or he's bought these new players, and thinks that he's playing Football Manager, and it's just not that simple. And I'll be interested to find out whether or not Marinakis is actually picking this team, or no, not necessarily Marinakis as well. It could be, I think it's Edu that's in as his technical director, and I think there might be a lot of that going on here as well. So I think there's going to be more behind the scenes going on. I think that might be one of the reasons why Nuno wasn't having it. Like, he was like, no, I'm picking my team. You're not getting involved. And I think that may have been some of the big blowout that was really happening, because he could see the writing on the wall, the fact that he's going to be arguing with the owner and the technical director about what the team should be doing instead of just doing it himself. And I have an inkling, because just the way things are lining up and things are setting up, this isn't to me like a manager that's building or trying to do something better week in, week out. It's almost like they're just, I don't know. It's like he's being told from somewhere else what to do, because this isn't a way that you build your team week in, week out. You can't see any real progression. And Ange, you'd see some progression, whether good or bad, you'd see something, and you're not seeing anything right now. And that's what's making me wonder. But I've got to highlight, was it Sales, the goalkeeper? Sales, is that right? Yeah, I think so. I can't show you all of his saves because there's too many, but he's a top goalkeeper. You've got to say he's a top goalkeeper. And what good goalkeepers do is situations like this. I want to show you this, right? So the ball's getting head-to-head back across. You can see the melee of players here, right? Watch the keeper. Watch his movement. Look where he is. He's already moved. The reason why he's able to make this save is because his movement is perfect. His body shape is perfect. He's already anticipating the next play. The header's come across. Newcastle player out jumps two Forest players here on the back post, gets a header onto the goal, and without the keeper playing utmost attention, changing his body shape, being perfect, you can see that he's waiting. He's there. He's anticipating the header, dumph, and he saves it. Brilliant. Absolute brilliant. All about his footwork and his body movement, but also his awareness of where the ball's going, where it's going to be next. He's already 2 steps ahead, and it makes it easy for him to defend it. Yeah, because he's in the right place. If he's in the wrong place, now he's got to use his skill and ability. People don't even really understand what when the word of skill as well in football, or how it's used. Think because this is what skill is, right? Skill is being able to select the technique at the correct situation. Okay, so that's the skill. So you're going along and you've got so many techniques in your arsenal, and you can pull that technique out, and that's skill. Okay, without even thinking about it, that's skill right there. But let's move it on. So this is an interesting sort of phase of play that happens here, because this is indicative again to the modern Premier League and defenders not knowing how to defend. And all he has to do now is make sure this ball's safe. He's got all the time in the world. He can take. Obviously, he needs to be taking it to the outside. Needs to be getting a shout from the keeper, probably got a shout from somewhere, can't really be playing the ball back in here, but doesn't really know what to do. First option, you're facing your own goal. What do you do as a defender in this situation? There's your shoulders, that's where you're facing. Here comes the ball. What's behind you? Do you know? If you don't, where are you putting that ball? Every single person right now is probably saying Rose Ed, and that's exactly right, because you do not know. You're not trying to get the ball down and pass it out the back and start as a creative attack from here. Right now, someone just crossed the ball in your box. You don't know who's behind you. Maybe you do. There's a difference if you do, though, right? If you know that you've got space, it's a very sort of different scenario. We're just playing it in our head right now that we don't know. We don't know if we've got someone behind us. We don't know. So when the ball's coming in, how do you deal with it? You deal with it. You clear it. Here, dumph. bad touch of the outside of the foot. And now what he's doing, he blames this defender at the end of it for not being here to receive and get rid of it, right? That's what he does after the play. No. If you haven't got the ability to bring it down with the outside of your left foot, which is fine, absolutely fine, you put it in a row Z and we defend the next ball. Because it wasn't for your awesome goalkeeper right here, this is 1-0. That is unacceptable. And the problem with things like that is that's a choice, right? So when players are making choices and then the mistakes happen from it, you've got to make sure that that choice doesn't happen again next week, because if he does make the same choice and it goes wrong again, you're going to concede goals. So you don't do that. Like you do. This is the stuff that you polish out. Boom. Let's watch. Dump. Keeper. Oh no, sorry, he saves it, not the keeper. I just automatically call it. Give the credit to the keeper because he played great. Yeah. Okay, he makes a recovery from it. Great, but he shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place. And that is lack of confidence at the back. That also, when you're up front or you're anywhere on the team and your centre backs are doing problems like that, it just doesn't give you confidence. It doesn't give you confidence. If they kick it away, if they put it in a row Z, you can defend it, you can go again, and everyone goes, yeah, well done, lad, well done. But that isn't good. So there isn't any debate on this. This is a foul. If you're a Newcastle fan, don't want to hear your opinion. If you're a Forest fan, I don't want to hear your opinion because you're going to be biased. And that's one of the biggest problems in football is this bias, and it's just complete lying. Foul's a foul, penalty's a penalty. Call it. Be honest, right? This is a foul. This nonsense that's crept into modern football and these people talking, oh, but he touched the ball. Touching the ball doesn't mean he can't foul him. He can touch the ball and then foul him. There's two actions there. He can win the ball and then still foul the player and push the player over. Those two things can happen when they do happen right here. Watch, Stumpf runs straight through the player, kicks the ball, and then barrels the player over. Okay, we're going to show it on a little close-up in a minute. 100% a foul. The ref gave a yellow card for something similar in the first half. Very similar. So you can't turn around and go, no, because you've got to be consistent. And obviously VAR's not going to overturn it. And this other nonsense I had in my comment section, someone said, don't you watch Ref Watch? No, I don't watch Ref Watch. Because all that is nonsense propaganda from people that are they're liars. And I'm going to talk about this big on the live stream on Monday night about ego and what ego is, because people don't. It's not what you think it is. It is, but it gets really complicated. And we're going to break that down in massive detail and a philosophical level as well about what ego actually is. Okay, this is a foul. VAR don't overturn it. Things like Ref Watch are there to protect this guy in the middle there. Because remember, they're the institution. They cannot be wrong. If they are wrong, if they are fallible, there's a problem. Okay? That means there's so many problems that happen with that they can't deal with, right? Which they should be able to because they should be adult, but they're not adults. These aren't like you're a rational human being. You're not going to have a conversation with them. They're just going to toe the party line. If you ever watch that Ref Watch, I guarantee you 99% of the time they're going to agree with the referee on the field. Very, very few times, if ever, they're going to say that the referee's made a mistake. And there's a reason for that. And if you don't think that that isn't happening and they protect each other and there's a huge system in play behind there, you're mad. You're absolutely mad. Yeah, they aren't going to there's so much going on behind the scenes in football. It's crazy. But that is a foul. So what are we looking at for arm movement, right? Does his arms move through the player to indicate a foul? Does he push the player? Does his arms go through the player? That's all we're interested in. We're not interested in here because if he wins the ball, it's irrelevant. After he's won the ball, there's a foul. Let's watch. Bump. Okay, there's his shoulder. Sorry, shoulder. Yeah. His shoulder's now down here, guys. This is where his shoulder is there. That's definitely his shoulder, and his elbow is up here. Now, we've completely changed the human anatomy. Right. Watch as he goes through this player. Watch what his arms do. Dumpf pushes the player out the way. You see, he pushes the player out the way, throws the player on the floor, and then the break happens. Sorry, that's a foul. You can't just push the player out the way, even if you won the ball. You can't just run through him and shove him to the side and go, oh, no. Now, I've also got a problem with the rest of Forest after this fact. Don't care if it's a foul or not. You keep playing. And I think when we look at it in a second, I think some of them don't keep playing. They're still waiting for the ref to give a free kick. And you can't do that. You just got to keep playing. Yeah, that's a foul. But you still got to play football. Right here, you can see two players screaming for the foul. Okay? Absolutely screaming for it. Where do you think their mind is right now? Where is it? You can scream at the ref after you've got the ball, after the ball's gone out for a throw-in, when something else has happened, you know? If you're doing it now, what are you not doing? You're not concentrating. Concentrate on the game. That's why this goal goes in as well. Not just the referee, it's the next part of the phase as well. He's down on the ground. Now basically everyone, all hands to the pump, because your teammate's hurt. You've got to assume your teammate's on the ground, your teammate's hurt. Everyone's got to chip in and make sure until he's back on his feet, right? We all got to put in a shift. That's what we need. One defender has had a little look. He's looked that way. He's telling somebody else what to do. We know what's about to happen in the next 5 seconds. Someone's put their arm up and not doing their job. So a goal's going to be scored. Don't worry. We've got somebody else doing it now as well. Right, so here's the problem. You have just told him to run over there. Okay? Why? Here's the ball. Right? He needs to stay exactly with you until that ball is played, and then you go. You do not go and open up the space here between these two. This is the problem. Right? Okay, the fouls happen, great. But then you don't make 3 or 4 mistakes. Look at the gap. You can see it's getting bigger here as well. And who's putting pressure on the ball out of the two of you? Because you've just told one guy that could put pressure on the ball to sod off and go and mark the guy out wide. All right? Quite simply, if he goes, he passes the ball, you can come over and cover for him, and he can come back and cover him for you. Brilliant, right? Simple. Pressuring and covering. No one does that. Not interested in the Premier League. No. Go over here. So if you'll keep telling him what to do, you better be stepping up and going towards to the ball, right? You're not, are you? Absolutely not. You are kind of in no man's land. Well, he is and he isn't, right? Okay, so he's marking the player here for the run, but can you see that gap? He's got to be a little bit closer. Why? Because he doesn't want him to receive the ball. And there's 2 ways he can receive the ball. He can either down through there or across through there. If it's down through there, it's a foot race. The closer he is to there, the easier he gets it. If it goes across there, the closer he is to his centre-back teammate here, the more he can get it. He's too far away. He gives this guy an opportunity to make a run across the face of him here to this area here. Right, all this is simple defending. You might think, oh, this is simple stuff. Simple stuff. And there's another point, because this is the guy that receives the ball. If he does that, if he does the proper thing, and he's actually where he should be, he can go and pressure the ball. Right now, we've got 0 pressure on the ball. Bump, laid off, can't get there. Body shape's the wrong way. Do you see how he's had to turn? He's nowhere to be seen. Can't get there because he's too busy looking and marking this player and not holding his shape. And as he's holding his shape, he's stepping up. See that gap there? As he's stepping up closer, he pulls this player with him and he yells and screams at him to come across and mark this guy. None of this happens. Takes a touch and then still smashes it in the net box. And there's still no pressure on the ball. Guess why you get scored on? That. Is there a problem with the referee? Yes. Should you keep playing football? Yes. But that backing off from the ball as a unit and everyone. And I know there's a midfielder on the floor and he should have been the one there. I don't disagree with what you're saying. But that isn't the issue. You only can deal with what you've got on the field at the time, and that's what you've got. That's the picture. You go and you know what? If you're old, I tell you what, an old wise hat would have done. What's the kiddie who's at Brighton nowadays? James Milner would have gone up and fouled him straight away. He would have walked up and fouled one of them straight away and given them a free kick outside the 18-yard box and then dealt with all the aftermath. That's what would have happened, because that's probably the right thing to do. You take the yellow card and you go, yeah, let's reset and hope one of the goalkeeper's going to save the free kick, which he probably would have. And that's what you do. And then you try to figure out all after then, because... yeah, I don't even think, like the game I was watching, there wasn't even, I didn't even come up and say potential VAR check on the game I was watching. It just went, no, carry on, play football. Got to give some credit to the strike, though. It's a wonder strike. It is just past the keeper. He's got absolutely no chance. Plump, plump. Perfect. Great strike. Now I'm just going to show you this here because this is another great... I can't cover all his great saves. I'll be here till God knows what time tonight. But great strike here. It's not great, actually. It's right at the keeper. It is kind of right at the keeper. The keeper's still got to make the save. But my other problem is, what do you notice? One Forest player and the Newcastle players in front of him. One Forest player, Newcastle players behind him. One Newcastle player, no Forest player. When this ball comes in, absolutely unmarked in the box, and the keeper's got to pull out a worldie save to keep his side in it. And he does. He does it all day, to be honest. He was really good. The game, I don't know if you watched it. There was only one little bit of football I saw in the whole game from Newcastle. They did it twice on their right-hand side where they tried to pass some little combinations together. Other than that, No, Nottingham Forest got the ball. Newcastle came and kicked him over. It was either a free kick or it wasn't. Then it was just a complete mess of a game. I don't know if it's. I've only seen 2 Newcastle games this season. One with Arsenal and this one, and it was the same. It was just a slugfest. I don't know if it's like that every week where they just kick people over all of the time, but that's all it looked like to me. You got the ball, we're going to kick you over. We might get called for it, we might not, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, this is a calamity of errors again. Watch first mistake. All right, this is going to be our first mistake. Remember the rule of 3. When we're breaking down mistakes, normally there's 3 incidences that happen, and you want to try to cut them out, right? So what does that mean? If you're getting 3 mistakes, you only never need to cut out the first mistake, and the other 2 never manifest. So when people sort of say like, oh, they keep scoring goals on the back post because our defender isn't heading. What? Why? Is it because of 2 other mistakes that always create that opportunity, and you can fix number 1 easier than you can fix number 3? Well, let's fix number 1, make sure that doesn't happen, because that's the recurring event, right? This is a similar recurring event that happened with the centre back a second ago in his touch. It's completely not the uncertainty at the back here of who's doing what job. So let's think about that for a second. What do you mean who's doing what job? Right, because we've got 1, 2, 3 at the back, right? We've got a right sort of wing backy in the 4 of midfield. Then is he supposed to come back in and do this? Or is the right-sided centre-back supposed to come out and deal with this space, right? So let's have a little watch how they communicate with each other. Look, he's going, oh, yeah, you go. So now he's going to sprint instead of him sprinting and dealing with the ball in the first place, okay? So now he's coming out, this guy's coming out of position, right, and everything's going to go, oh, look, because let's just look at what's going on. As he's coming out of position, is someone going over and helping, and are they moving? Or are they just stood around watching? So remember, it's like you're on a piece of string, boom, and you pull there, and as he moves over, you move over. So if there's any mistakes, you can all cover for each other. And that's what I'm talking about with this. Whatever system this is employed, that isn't happening here. These 2 are just standing still. Okay, so it's a nothing situation. Ball bounces. Now it's a situation. Now he's got the ball. Remember, if he had jogged over just ever so slightly, and we're talking 3 yards, he's there. What's he doing? He's asking for the pass, and away they go. Simple. Hasn't moved. Hasn't done it. Okay, because you see this sort of second problem that's manifesting from where, first off, no one knew which one of these 2 was supposed to go to it. Second off, the rest of the team didn't sort of help and drop in like they were supposed to. So now we're in a situation where our defenders getting caught back here by their attackers, and let's see what happens. It's too late. It's giving them the opportunity to squeeze. Look, 1, 2, 3 players. Look how far away he is just helping instead of being there in the middle. Yeah, you know what? If he's coming, he can just play it back to the keeper. Keeper goes out the other side, and he looks like a muppet. But they haven't done that. He's still, look, on the far side, away from the goalkeeper. So his only options is go to the keeper, which he doesn't fancy for some reason, and he goes straight into here. Now, this is a criminal touch. The amount of years I've coached, and I've seen this in midfield. As soon as I see a midfielder do this, I won't pick that midfielder until I fix this problem. This happens all the time. I'm going to explain it in excruciating detail because people still don't understand it. Players don't understand it when you're breaking it down to them. And this is the bane of losing the ball in centre midfield. The amount of people that do it is unbelievable. So as this ball comes across, bump, 1, 2, there we go. Right. Where's he going to go? The only place he can go is there. There's no option for him to go to. It's the only place he can go because that's where his shoulders are. That is the only place he can pass the ball. Do you see what I mean about the whole Forest team have made themselves completely and utterly unavailable? And the ball movement from where he was, nothing makes sense. They can't get the ball out. They've isolated this player now. That is the only place he can go and the only place he can pass the ball. Or you can go, yeah, but Cash, he can turn. No, you don't turn in the middle of the field with the ball because this happens. And that's the problem. As soon as he starts to turn, watch, bump. Oh, now he's made a crunching tackle. Didn't know what was behind him. All of a sudden, now it's a penalty. Just like the other one was a foul, so's this one. Now the kiddie that goes down, Bruno Guimaraes, is like, oh God, he makes a meal of it like he's been shot and his ankle's broken. In 2 seconds, he pops back up. I mean, come on, mate. Like, yeah, you've been fouled, but like, that's not really, it wasn't really that hard. I know you're trying to sell it for a penalty, but come on. We're going to watch it from the other side. You can see exactly what we can't see it fully, unfortunately, but you know he was facing, shoulders here, and he was facing this way. Now his shoulders are here, and he's facing this way. So he's turned. He's done that turn. He's put the ball. If you think about the player is there, right, and there's the line of scrimmage. He has gone behind that line of scrimmage over here without being able to see what's behind him. Okay? He's made an awful turn, absolutely awful, and he's got caught for it. Now, in his defence, he shouldn't have been given that ball in the first place, and he had no option to pass to anywhere. So he's going to make a mistake. So you put him in a situation to make a mistake because, first off, you couldn't get between two players, decide who wanted to get to the ball. Second mistake, those other defenders didn't come over and make the easier pass happen because they were, for some reason, hiding on the other side of the field. And again, I don't know if that's because they don't understand the positional play of how that back three plays. And when one goes over cover, the other two slide over and almost become two centre-backs, right? Because that's how, if you're playing, depending on how you're playing a 3-4-3, because it's my favourite formation to coach, and when you get it right, you batter people. So think of it this way. You've got three centre-backs. One is always a left-back and one is always a right-back. What does that mean? You've got one, if the ball is going out onto this right-hand side, one of your centre-backs goes over and becomes the right-back, and the other two become two normal centre-backs, and then you can play it out onto the left-hand side, and you've always got a player overload on the other side, okay? Like you would on the left-hand side. If the ball goes on the left-hand side, one of your three centre-backs can go out, deal with that, and the other two come in. That's how I play it. Right, there's about 15 other different ways of playing it, where the two centre-backs are stepping up and the other one steps back as almost like a sweeper. These two put pressure on and he drops the space in behind and covers it. There's loads. Actually, I'm going to write that down and I'm going to go over some of those on Monday Night Football at 8 o'clock live. So, yeah, it's a foul. Yeah, he takes him out. Yeah. Look, mate, I'm in more pain than you right now. I can barely walk at all, the amount of pain I'm under, and I'm not making a baby little face like that. I've been able to walk for 3 weeks, the pain I'm in. And, yeah, get up. As good as the keeper is, he's not saving this. This is perfect. I mean, this is right buff into the top corner. He does this really interesting technique. I'm going to have to watch this kiddie more. I kind of like the way he runs. I like the way he receives the ball. I like his work ethic. But this is an interesting technique. If you want, you watch this. Watch this. He can't. Do you see how he kind of chips it? He chipped it almost into the top corner with power. Do we see that? One more time right here. Watch him as he chips this. Watch. Do you see? His foot sort of stops. If you don't know the difference of being able to put backspin, side spin, chipping and all that, it's very much... Actually, it follows golf a lot of the time, where you how you hit the ball and stuff. It's very... if you get really into it. We used to do that for fun, putting side spin and backspin on, because that way you can stop balls dead. So if you're putting through balls through with lots of backspin, you can just like stop dead on the ground and it's easier for the runner. Unless if the runner doesn't know that and he runs past the ball, which happens. Yeah. But that's a really good penalty. Like it a lot. Forest are in some trouble. I'm going to be interested to find out if Marinakis is calling the shots and it's not Ange. But if it keeps going like this, Ange ain't going to make it past the international break, let alone to Halloween or Christmas. We're here to find out. We'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.